What is going on, Penny boys and gals? What's going on, stock traders? And welcome to our market review stream. We are live here in the Discord as well as in YouTube. On YouTube as well. We're also on Twitter live. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of news today and a bunch of stocks and what we're looking at. I know Pookie's Revenge was live trading earlier, and he was playing a lot of stocks. We'll be going over some of those. We're going to be talking about some airlines. I know there was a big complaint in the news recently about a death on British Airlines. We're going to talk about the fraud case with Square. We're going to be talking about TikTok and the potential upside of Meta, Google, and Snapchat if TikTok was to be banned. I don't know if y'all saw the hearing on Congress. And there's some huge news for New Yorkers, including it has to do with Netflix and Uber. I guess New Yorkers might have to pay a little bit more to avoid the fares going up. I know, Pookies, you are not from the New York, Manhattan area, but you like me are close to that area, so we can talk about that as well. But let's just first get right into the charts. I know we still have like an hour, a little bit less than an hour left in the trading day. Is there anything that you're currently looking at as far as the levels go before we get into the news?
Not me personally, no. It's been a pretty mixed day. There wasn't really a whole lot going on other than what we found and traded. So yeah, I'm just kind of taking the rest of the day off. I got a lot of work to do, so I got to focus on that as well. But it was a good day to study and kind of map out the plan a little bit. Kind of went over that on the live stream this morning.
Right. I know you sent me a list of some of the stocks you've been playing in the live stream. We can just kind of do like a little overview of some of these stocks. The first one is Square. It's down around 20% this week alone. Shares. Block, right? SQ.
I did that all day.
Yeah, I keep calling it Square because it's SQ. But, it's Block is the actual company, of course, the parent company of Square, which is what they're mostly known for. It went down, like I said, 20%. I believe that it was because of the Hindenburg report.
Yeah.
They were saying that ex-employees of the company estimated between 40 to 75% of their monthly users are actually fake, involved in fraud, or were additional accounts tied to a single individual. So they're basically boosting their numbers. They also said that there were some around like billions of dollars worth of identity fraud tied to the COVID stimulus checks and unemployment payments through their system. Shares plummeted from around $74 to $56.50 Thursday during pre-market. And I don't know if you knew this, but Jack Dorsey's net worth actually plummeted $526 million from this. So Pookies, what were you? I know you were playing this one earlier. Are you currently in the stock or currently in a trade, or what are you looking at as far as this one goes?
No, so the level this morning that we were watching was around $60. The high 60s, early low 61s, right? So the idea here was that we had this nice key level here. It needed to break to the upside of the downside. It only broke to the downside. Went past target 1, almost hit target 2, started to fall back, but it's been very sideways, very slow all day, and it's right back at that level. So there's no reason to try to deviate from that. So I'll just wait and see what it does. The level is still valid. So yeah, we'll trade the volatility when it comes in. So the problem with things like Hindenburg is, it's very easy to go out there and make those claims, and I don't know how they're still operating, but at this point it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and having that kind of negative press on any company forces the hand of the larger shareholders. They don't want to be associated with it, just in case there's a little kernel of truth there. Plus they know that the stock is likely going to sell off hard as soon as it pops up in Hindenburg, so they just dump their position and wait for a re-entry, and that's exactly what we do. They have a lot more money, so it has a bigger impact on the price, but yeah, that's all we can really do is just wait for the recovery, or I want them to provide some specifics if they're going to have all those kinds of claims out there.
Oh, yeah, it's easy to point fingers, but yeah, we need some proof, basically.
Yeah,
and I want to get to Bull just like on a chart breakdown of this one, but before we do, I just want to get into what is Hindenburg. Because I know a lot of people, they keep hearing about this. I know they had some high-profile cases with I believe there was a Canadian cannabis company of sorts. Nicola was another one as well. Technology companies, but I believe they're an investment research firm. They focus on investigating, exposing what they consider to be fraudulent or overvalued companies. I believe it's founded like around 2017, so still relatively new. When it comes to companies, what do you think about Hindenburg? What do you think about investors? Should they be using this? Using these reports as like a end all be all, or what's your take on this whole report and these reports in general?
You want that for a bull or for me? Because I got some charged thoughts.
Oh, I heard you already. Like, you sound like you're angry at them. So I want to hear from you, Pookie.
No, I'm not angry. I don't know if Bull is, but it's something that it's exploitative because they come out with these claims. They call themselves a research company. I'm a research company, right? I have a business license. I'm good to go. Um, the problem is it's the same phenomenon we see with like news companies. They just put out a headline, however outrageous it is. He's National Enquirer, right? It's the same thing they do. They just make absurd claims. They put a little disclaimer there at the bottom and say, oh, it's for entertainment, or do your own research and stuff. And they can basically say whatever they want. um, Nobody has really nailed them to the wall yet, so I'm waiting for Congress to crack down on stuff like that at some point, because it does have a significant impact on the market. That is specifically why they target smaller companies. It's not because they're trying to find the inside scoop or anything. They're trying to stay off the radar. They know as soon as they go after like an industrial stock or something that's bigger, they're going to have to provide sources, and they rely pretty heavily on their investigative journalism to get around kind of having to disclose stuff. So I don't know, it's just a little shaky to me. But
Well, I mean, speaking of like disclosing, even like insider trading, even the SEC. I know Jake Paul, Lindsay Lohan, a bunch of people were in the news about that with the crypto-related topics. So we'll get into that in a different stream, on a crypto stream. But speaking of insider trading, what do you think? When it comes to like Hindenburg or these research firms, I mean, they do benefit from these crashes. Because they did put out,
oh yeah,
that they're going to be doing a short. And people are estimating that their profits are already from their short. I guess they got a $74 put purchase prior to the report release. They're at around 10x. So like, how is that not considered insider trading, Pookie?
So that is why I think Congress is going to crack down eventually, or the SEC, because it does have a direct impact on the market. So the reason, not to go off topic here, but the reason Lindsay Lohan, Jake Paul, and all those got in trouble is because they didn't disclose that they received compensation or tangible purpose. So Hindenburg discloses that they do, so they can kind of get away with it. But that's not going to fly very long, especially in this kind of market, this kind of economy. Like, they're going to look for reasons to start nailing places like this to the wall. If they're going after crypto pumpers, if they're going after biotech pumpers, they're going to go after Hindenburg. It's got a big target on it. It's just a matter of time. But we can't use that to our advantage because the reports are still out there. All they have to do is disclose whatever they were paid or whatever, and not buy more than 5%. And then that way they don't have to file a Form 4, and they don't have to disclose to shareholders that they own beneficial ownership and all that. And they can pretty much do whatever they want.
I know the block released a statement Thursday denying the allegations and vowing to take legal actions against Hindenburg. So, I mean, I know they were talking about, like all this different fraud, like some YouTubers, I guess some rappers was what Hindenburg was referring to, like talking about on YouTube using Cash App for fraud, drug use, sales, and murder and stuff like that. Do you believe all these accusations, or and if not, do you see this big stock price drop being an overreaction that maybe we could play back up?
You could play 6 degrees of separation with anything these days. You could say Apple's responsible for the deaths of 30 million Americans every year. Does it make it immediately true and correlated? No. But is there still a roundabout way to make that claim? Absolutely. So it's going to be really hard for them to prove that. I mean, they are clearly looking at libel if there's some sort of action and somebody wants to move forward with it. A lot of companies I just don't think want to get entangled with groups like Hindenburg because they know it's just more bad press, and they're just going to throw out more accusations and more bogus claims, and basically anything they say kind of makes it worse. So smarter companies, more established companies, they just kind of keep their head down and wait for it to blow over, and then they release positive news later and everyone gets a discount. So that's what I'm here for.
Like, getting into it's almost going to be a detrimental factor. Yeah. Bull, I'm going to bring your chart on this screen. Any technical fundamental breakdown when it comes to the stock Square?
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting for you to ask me about the charts here. I got the 1 hour chart pulled up on SQ, and just like Pookie pointed out earlier, we for the bulls, we kind of want this to hold the upper $58 level, so 58, 59 bucks around there. If it could hold that, maybe we can start seeing some serious retracement from the sell-off that they just had. So kind of pop a Fibonacci on here. Kind of looking at the 61.8. So, if we can start regaining some traction here, maybe we retrace to at least 67 around there. could be a good target for the bulls. Again, this all depends on Square or SQ. I'm sorry, block.
Keep doing that.
Holding. Yeah, no, we always keep doing that. This all depends on SQ holding that $58, $59 level that Pookie pointed out earlier. There was, of course, some great day trades to be had on SQ since it sold off.
Yes, there were.
Yeah, I mean, sold off to what, 56.50. It's already retraced back up to $64, basically. Kind of sold off a little bit and then, popped back up. So it's showing some life, it's showing some life. Sometimes we see these stocks that sell off like this, and usually it's like 2-3 days of selling. Sometimes we'll see that. This actually is showing signs of life. So my recommendation would be, if it were me, wait for a little bit of pullback down to this 58, 59 level. So just a couple dollars from now, from where it's at now. And then maybe see if you can get in on one of these little pumps that it's already done twice since the sell-off. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on kind of the shorter term view. For the longer term view on SQ, I'd really like it to hold this support that it had. It's basically like October of last year of 2022, kind of held that area nicely. And it's basically the low $50 range, like right around $51. Worst case scenario, if it can't hold the 58 that me and Pookie were talking about earlier, look for maybe it to hold around the low 50s, I think would be a good entry point. And if some buying volume comes in from there, we could have some good price targets to the upside to over 10%, I think, on that trade. So that's what I'm looking at on Q. What do you guys think?
I think you did the right thing there by breaking it out into short-term and long-term. So every time we see a major catalyst like this or a major impulse, the short-term trade is always going to be the reaction, not the recovery. And then, we can use things like the 3-day rule and just be like, okay, let's give it a few days, let it cool off, let it choose a direction, let the strength come back. And then when the decision is made, then you can start to look for entries into that recovery. What we see a lot of times is people try to get those mixed up, and they go heavy into a bounce. And a lot of times we just see H-shaped continuation to the downside.
Right. The good old H pattern, right?
Oh, yeah. H stands for hell, which is where the stock's going.
Oh, God. Well, that one is for Square SQ. We're going to move on to, I know because Pookie, you gave me a whole list of different stocks that you were playing this morning that we want to go over. Two of which were Google and Meta. I didn't watch all of it. It was like a 4.5 hour hearing. But TikTok CEO Shou Chew went in front of Congress on Thursday. Lawmakers basically just bombarded him with all kinds of questions. It really, to me personally, this is my opinion, showed how out of touch Congress is to not just technology, but also just, I don't know, like 80 to 95% of America, when it comes to technology and just when it comes to just life. Like the questions that they were asking, it was just, and the ways they were reacting, the way they were interrupting him, it seemed like it was like a witch trial. Like they were out to get him. They clearly didn't like him, both Republicans and Democrats. So this wasn't like a political, they're trying to, fight the Republicans. They're trying to fight the Democrats. No, everyone was going after this guy. And I was watching it live on TikTok, and the comment section was blowing up with people just hating on Congress, saying like, why are they interrupting him? Like these questions are just ridiculous. So, and then, of course, meanwhile, you have the, the old school people who are like, oh, TikTok's the worst. We got to ban it, this, that, whatever. I'm curious to see. And it doesn't really matter what we think about that. We do have the MetaMat TV streams that we do on Tuesday. If y'all want to hop on, we can talk about the controversial issues like this, but this is Pennybois Stock Alerts. So we're going to talk about the stocks. So if TikTok is banned, or even, the speculation, like we said, like trade the rumor, like TikTok is banned, Snapchat, Google, Meta. These are all three platforms. They could be a big part of the $431 billion in market value that TikTok's going to be leaving behind. So if this was to happen, or even people who might be playing the if, how do you see Snap, Google, Meta doing, as far as this goes? Is it priced in already because this has been in talks for a while, or do you think that there could be I know some people are saying 20% increase, 30% for Meta?
Well, a lot of people are going to focus on Google and Meta. I actually think that might be a make or break moment for Snapchat long term, because they are smaller. So, that share, even if it's a smaller share of the overall market value, it's probably going to count a lot more for them than it would for Google or Meta. And fun fact, a lot of those members in Congress are actually there for the original witch trials. So it makes sense. This is just their behavior. But yeah, it's, a lot of these are, they're also aligning with other areas, like the AI sector, for example. A lot of that's going to have an influence on pretty much every social platform. So I think it could increase the value. It could increase the share. I believe it will, as long as it's done correctly. But in that case, I think Google has a tremendous advantage over the other two. But I think it could be the kind of tech injection that Snapchat desperately needs, in my opinion.
No, I know everyone's talking about Meta, and even Snapchat, yeah. But I think that Google is definitely one that, people don't think, oh, Google and TikTok, one's a streaming service, one's a search engine. But people have been using TikTok instead. I know AI, everyone was using ChatGPT instead of Google. But prior to that, everyone was using TikTok. A lot of younger generation was using TikTok instead of Google. So Google definitely could see a little bit of an uptick, if that was to happen. What you were trading? Were you trading those earlier, or did you have any positions open as far as that goes?
For Google, yeah. So I originally had a 4-grid square. Actually, let me just go ahead and pull that up really quick, just to show you what we were looking at earlier. So I had Google, which was actually brought to us by a member. I wasn't actually looking for a trade in this one this morning. I just wanted to show. We actually had Boeing. Sorry, let me just pull up Google here. We had Boeing, and we had Block. So those were our 4 that we were watching this morning. Let me just check the time frame here. We'll go down to the 5-minute. So obviously this one stopped out. It was a potential short entry here. It failed the threshold. So in this particular case, we were looking for a break to the downside. We got it at a pretty decent confirmation as well, and it just happened to stop out, and that's okay. That's why we keep our stops nice and tight. It looks like a big block, but we're on a very low time frame there. So Boeing is out of the mix for me until it breaks over 198.35. So then I will potentially look for a bullish entry on that. But for right now, it's over. Meta and Google, if you look at these charts, they're relatively similar on the respective time frames. So if you look at this, there's a lot of choppiness. And there's a lot of hard sell-off, and there's periods of consolidation on the way. So this is a really good one for scalpers because they can identify those periods of high volatility, and they go into low volatility, and then the high volatility really kicks in. Same thing over here on Google. You can see there's a lot of consolidation, particularly after hours, but that's to be expected. But even during market hours, like I believe this was yesterday, there was a lot of choppiness, a lot of pressure. And we saw some of that release after this little chop cleared out from this morning. So if we look at the 1-minute chart, I'll go back to a 2-chart view here. A little disorganized on this one. We were just watching the wedge, right? We had a nice, beautiful wedge this morning. It was brought to us around here, I think it was. No, I'm sorry, it was over here. We just watched the price compress, and we identified the front quadrant of it. Top and bottom, and we basically win not to trade, our new win not to trade. We were watching specifically for a break over 106, and that did not happen. Pretty sure a couple of members grabbed some puts off of that, and they made probably some pretty good money on that. It was a nice, good, consistent sell-off. And then if anyone wanted to trade the recovery, we were watching this level here. We got a retest here, so a little modified inverted head and shoulders on that. Calls on the way back up, and then we got a double top all the way back down, and it just kind of hangs out in this range. There's no secret magic there. It's just watching these levels right here, these 3 levels, and just trading what it gives you rather than trying to anticipate. So Google was pretty good. And then Meta, I'm watching for it to break out of this zone, right? So right now it's all bearish. The key level here is 206.97 for me personally. It's been tested multiple times here. It just can't break over that level, so there's no bullish entry for me. So today I announced this morning I was just going to be looking for bearish entries all day, and that's exactly what Meta gave us. I think there was 4 puts one of our members traded during the live stream on his own, and he pulled 55+% on those, and then I think he got a 5th one here. A lot of opportunity out there. We just got to know which direction and wait for it to start. That's probably the biggest obstacle.
You just actually answered my question I was going to ask. I'm assuming you're trading options with these higher price stocks, right?
Yeah, you can. Otherwise, if you have a larger account, 2 or 3% profit might be more than enough because these are more stable trades. You're not necessarily going to want to chase options. So yeah, I mean, you can trade both sides of these. However, if you're on a larger cash account, you can't short, so you can only trade longs in that case. So.
Yeah. And if the options are too expensive, we can always create spreads.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, every size account and every type of account can make money in this kind of market. You just have to be careful and focus on risk management.
No, 100%. I know you're talking about Boeing. I want to bring up some airline news that happened. We have a whole bunch of airline news. The first one is actually British Airways. I don't know if y'all heard about this, but you did. The complaint of, and it's not funny what happened necessarily. There was a death on a British Airlines flight. It was like 3.5 hours into the flight from Jamaica to London. I believe it was like December 21st. I can actually bring the article up for those of you who are watching. But December 21st is when this actually happened. And basically there's a death on a flight and somebody decided to write a complaint about it. They weren't complaining, though, like what you would think. It's like, oh, like this happened on a flight. They were complaining that it inconvenienced them. The person dying was an inconvenience to them. They were complaining that they were very tired, frustrated, and hungry throughout the flight. They said that I've never witnessed in my life someone being shocked or having CPR performed. I never would have expected that to happen on a flight returning home, blaming the flight attendants or whatever that they had to, witness it. They said that the flight services were halted, and they, aside from the initial meal, drinks and flight meals were discounted. So they did not receive a thorough flight experience for what they paid for, apparently. All these different complaints, because, what was that? Meanwhile, someone's, dead and they have a family who's like, looking after them. We can get into that in a little bit, but I want, once again, that's more of a MetaMat TV thing. And we had some funny tweets about that. Some person said someone is trying to win Karen of the Year. Another one all I can see in that text.
That's business as usual for Delta Airlines.
I mean, that's, you don't typically see it with British Airways. So now you have Delta, and I know Delta is a stock, but British Airways, actually, their stock is IAG, the parent company of British Airways. That's a Spanish registered company. Shares are traded on the London Stock Exchange and the Spanish Stock Exchange. So we can't really trade that. So we can get into a little bit, what y'all think about that really quick. But you're gonna do it anyway.
No, we get IM Gold over here.
Oh yeah, I know, right? I did that. I actually looked it up. I'm like, wait, that can't be it. No. But some airlines, like you were saying, Boeing was one. I believe, were you trading American Airlines earlier in the stream on Friday, or earlier in today's stream?
Today, yeah, I was. I didn't actually take a live trade. No, so
gotcha.
It was one that we were charting. So American Airlines, again, it's very tight trade because it's Friday. Was just waiting for it to break up or down. So we got both bi-directional targets here, and it's just well on its way to target one. It's just going nice and slow, just kind of meandering a little bit. There's nothing crazy going on today, so
that's American Airlines for you. I remember when American Airlines and all the airlines and the not the hospitality, but the cruises were like the talk of the town. Then it was biotech, and now biotech's back a little. I love how that happens. Like there's always gonna be like that one sector that everyone's talking about. What is it right now? I know AI is a huge one. I know that they don't really technically have their own sector in the market. What are some of the hot sectors, or just the hot tips, I guess, when it comes to the current market conditions for either of you?
Well, so everyone is looking at the green when they look for these. I'm actually looking at the red. I'm looking at energy stocks. I'm looking at things that are going to get going again when the cycle shifts. So obviously, yes, we traded some oil stocks here and there. But if you look at the sector performance on FinViz even, let me just go ahead and pull that up real quick. You can see everyone likes to look at the top. And this is good for shorter term trades or looking for swings that you want to trade for a couple of weeks and stuff like that. But if you're looking to really flesh out your watch list and to diversify and kind of build into that growth over time, don't be afraid to look at the bottom of these lists also. You can see real estate, financial, and energy they've been taking hits for a while. And that's where you're going to find the undervalued stocks that don't necessarily belong down there. And the difference is just knowing which ones belong down there and which ones don't. But that's really where the growth valuation comes from, is you just look at these sectors that are just so beaten down and so pummeled, and then you can actually chart these over time as well, so you can see so you can see like which sectors are starting to emerge and all that good stuff. And then that's a good way to pay attention to which ones are kind of shuffling around on the different time frames. So yeah, I'm personally looking more towards utilities, real estate, energy, financial, because I know that those are so beaten down. And I have to trade personally on a slower schedule. So these work out really well. I can kind of build into these when they're ready, obviously. But I'm not just going to throw my whole account into an energy stock and hope it works.
Yeah, I agree with that. I look at the sector information a lot as well. I don't use anything fancy like Pookie has there. I just use a bar chart. But I kind of get the same data. Pookie probably gets a little bit better data than I do. But just looking at the past 1 month, financials, for obvious reasons, have taken a huge hit. And just like Pookie says, the energy sector, I'm going to have my eye on the energy sector for a bounce to the upside here soon.
Changing season.
Yeah, it's as soon as the cycle shift, I'll be ready to jump on board. Also, real estate has been down over the past month, so maybe I'll be looking at some REITs, which are real estate investment trusts, to get in. They pay good dividends and things of that nature. Another thing that has been down but might be making a comeback is kind of basic materials and commodities and gold and stuff like that. So be looking on a nice bounce on commodities as well. So I'll be looking out for some opportunities there. And as far as what the performance was today, we got utilities and real estate and consumer staples leading the pack. That's kind of what's money's been flowing to end the week this week. And then at the bottom is IT, financials, and consumer discretionary. So just like Pookie was saying, it's always good to kind of get a feel of what the different sectors are doing in relation to each other. And you can get this information either through FinViz, like Pookie was showing, or bar chart. And you can sort this on bar chart from today, the past week, trading week, or you can do month and all the way up to 10-year. And I'm sure FinViz has all that data too, what Pookie was showing us earlier. So it's always good to kind of get your pulse on the sectors, and it can definitely give you some good ideas on maybe where there's some opportunities to place a trade.
Yeah, another good opportunity is also to learn your ETFs, your indexes.
Yep.
Like if you're a fan of biotechs, for example, you might look at LabU and LabD, see how they're performing. And then if they're, up and they're flying and your stock is kind of flat or it's moving down, that might be a problem with your stock.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's not a guarantee, but it's things like that you can use to identify. And then, you can justify looking into it and saying, okay, what's going on here? Because this isn't normal.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do have one last stock here on my on my list here that you gave me, Pookie, and this is the stock Netflix. So this is a fun one. This is more so for those of you who are in America, but also just specifically in the New York area. Yeah. So the big news for Netflix right now, and I'll put it in the full screen so people can see. Basically, we're not going to get political, but basically they're proposing a 4% tax on Netflix, Disney, Lyft, Disney being Disney Plus, and Uber. So basically streaming services and rideshare services. This is to basically pay for, help fund the influx of $1 billion that the MTA needs. That's the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. They need a $1 billion influx to keep the subways, buses, and trains running without having to hike fare rates 5.5%. So they're thinking of, like I said, adding a 4% tax on Netflix, on Disney. They're thinking about doing a 50-cent fee for ride-hailing services such as Uber and Lyft. Spokesperson for Uber actually said that the fee would be going on to the consumers.
That's a bad spokesperson.
That's not like. Here's the deal. Like it's not they even did it yet. They're like, this is what we might do, and Uber's like, you know what, we don't like our customers. Like they didn't even have to do that. But yeah, the spokesperson's like, just in case. Screw the customers. Like we don't I don't get that, but
they got the bill. Don't worry.
Yeah, right. They're also thinking about possibly, and this is the one I like, is a corporate tax for businesses reporting more than 5 million of income, raising to 9.25%. So what's a couple extra $100,000 for maybe they'll have to not buy that fourth or fifth yacht. But if it's not going to go to those millionaires and the billionaires, it's going to be going to us on Uber, which we will be paying for apparently, and other ride-hailing services. And Netflix and Disney Plus and all that. This is, of course, only for New York. So those of you who are just tuning in, this is just for New York City. You don't have to worry if you are outside the New York area. But what do y'all think about this? And if this does go through, because I know, Bull, I know you love your stocks, but or your charts. But charts aside, if this does go through, from a catalyst standpoint, could this be something bad for it? Bad for Uber maybe, or for Netflix? Or
I think it's going to be bad for New York, to be honest with you.
There it is.
So that's my opinion about the whole thing. Is I think it's going to be bad for the state. People have already been moving out of New York for
Oh, yeah.
shenanigans like this, and this is just could be the cherry on top. So I'd be more worried about New York than those two companies. I think Uber and Netflix are going to be just fine. And it is kind of isolated to New York, so it's not like a nationwide deal. If it was a nationwide deal, I'd probably have more to say about the companies. But this just seems like a New York issue to me, deep down inside.
Yeah, all those New Yorkers came to where I live, or used to live. I moved to the DC area, but I used to live in Connecticut, and we had a huge influx of New Yorkers coming over to.
I bet.
Oh, yeah. We go to Connecticut and Florida.
Florida, yeah.
I mean, I live in Florida, and the population grows by the minute. You know?
Yeah, you're welcome.
We don't want nobody else.
We don't
get the snowbirds. So yeah, I actually live in upstate New York. I don't have anything against my downstate peeps, but I mean, why are we paying your bill?
That's the other thing.
Sounds horrible, but like this is, yeah, as Bull said, this is one more straw on the haystack here of the government just not making sense. If they want to make money in New York, all they need to do is deregulate crypto and then just allow crypto to trade and tax that.
Yeah, tax the crypto. Yeah,
they've made it so difficult for crypto to be traded here. And there's a couple hot topics up here that could easily make revenue for the state, but they're choosing not to. But crypto's the least controversial one. And it's so ridiculous that we have our hands tied so much up here in New York. And then they're going to start targeting digital streaming services, specifically naming Netflix and Disney and Hulu, just to fund the transport.
I mean, do you use the train a lot as someone who's from upstate?
They don't have them up here.
You don't even have them, yes. I
don't
understand
CDTA
why. That doesn't make any sense. Like next thing you know, they're going to be charging Connecticut as well. I mean, we do use them all the time. We probably use them more. I probably use them more than you do when I'm in Connecticut, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just about to use an Uber to go to Albany. That's like an hour, 45 minutes or something like that.
Well, sooner than later, that's going to be a 50-cent fee tacked on for that for you.
I'm going to go broke. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Does that also mean that they're gonna start targeting other companies like Grubhub and Instacart because they deliver?
Well, I mean, and that being said,
they could be next, right?
Well, and I know, Bull, you were saying, this is just for New York City. That's now. What if? I mean, this is, I know that there isn't an MTA in other areas, but there are other things that need money. So what if they're like, oh, well, in order to fund XYZ, over in Texas or Florida or this, we're gonna start, charging. If they can do it in New York, why don't we start charging 50 cents, for a ride hail service, or start charging a 4% tax on Netflix and Disney in order to pay for, for X, Y, and Z. So I'm saying that this could maybe be, if this does go through, this could be a slippery slope to maybe not, like, once again, not the MTA, but to other, tax, other ways that tax, other areas that taxes go to. Like, who knows, like in, 2020, maybe like 2028 or, maybe 10 years from now or so, like, we're all gonna be, doing these fees, just, our tax fees with Uber, with Disney, with and who knows where that's going to stop from there. I'm curious to see if this turns into a slippery slope.
Oh, it will. Yeah, it already has.
It could definitely. There's always a chance it could spread to other states, but like you said, it's a slippery slope. I think they're going to kind of gauge how it goes in New York first, and depending on things that could fall out the other end that are negative because of it, I think maybe other states will look at that too. So just kind of see how it works in New York. If there's a big outrage about it,
there is.
We'll have to go from there, right? But
what's going to happen?
Anything can happen.
The first thing that's going to happen, just knowing New Yorkers, they're going to call their relatives in other states and be like, "Hey, let me get your password."
Oh, I didn't even think of that. You're right.
They probably got this hooked up to IP addresses and all that crap. They're gonna know. They're gonna know that this account's based out of Florida or something.
Oh, I travel for work. My bad.
There's gonna be an influx of TikTokers and YouTubers out there making how-to videos when it comes to like proxies and stuff like that, so people can avoid that 4% tax on Netflix and Disney and all that.
Absolutely.
That's wild, though. I know you said you were trading back to the stocks. Were you trading that one as well, Pookie?
Netflix? No, I actually missed this one at market open, so I had it plotted out. Level break over 322.13, or for the bearish entry 317.32 this morning. It just blasted at market open, and I was too busy rambling about psychology and stuff on the stream, so I didn't get a trade on that one, but I had it up for the members to watch. I had all 4 of those ready to go, and I got some DMs. People did trade it on their own, but it's it just shot up, hit target 2, came back down, tested, bounced off that, hit target 1 or target 2 again, bounced off it again. So there's a lot of participation between these two, but it's still just kind of hanging out. It hasn't pushed really any higher, and it hasn't fallen back down yet, which is a good sign. It is the end of the week, though. It is a Friday, so I'm expecting it to be a little bit of a pullback here into close. But yeah, it was a good little run off of that, and you can see the volume isn't as spectacular as it has been the last couple of days. Let me just pull it up on a higher time frame here. So if I look at this on the 1 hour, you can see that the volume has increased, but given the press and everything that's leading up into this, I believe, I don't know when their earnings is, but there's a lot more going on here. I expected the volume to be a lot higher today. It's about half what it was yesterday into the end of the day. And that's what I don't like to see personally. So I think there is a lot of upside potential here, but we're more likely going to get a pullback here and kind of resolve some of this price action. I think it just moved a little too quick.
Netflix earnings is Tuesday, April 18th at 4 p.m. Yep. So right after the regular session. Got some time.
All right.
Look at all the ads on there. That's how they make their money, right?
Oh yeah.
But, to be honest with you, earnings whispers actually has pretty accurate info.
Gonna tax that too.
Tax that, yeah, right.
Exactly. No, they got a lot of neat stuff on here. You can look at some pivot points, some resistance and support levels on here. All free information. Yeah. Don't obviously solely go by this to enter and exit trades, but gives you a bird's eye view of maybe some pivot points on the stock. And they give you some growth expectations, stuff like that. So that's all free stuff, you guys. Earningswhispers.com. And just type in the ticker symbol up here. You get pretty accurate earnings information, date and times of earnings announcements and stuff like that. So nice free little tool everyone can add to their toolkit.
Absolutely.
Some great alpha right there. All right, so I know we're at the last 7 minutes now of the stream, almost hitting that 4 o'clock mark. Market's almost closed even. If anyone has any questions, those of you listening, I see we have some listeners in the YouTube and on the Discord. Just let us know in the comment section for YouTube or in the free live stream chat area for Discord. If you guys enjoyed the stream, you enjoyed the topics that we were going over, you can check out our newsletter. I left a link in the Discord as well. We do every Friday we do put out newsletters based off of the stuff that we're going to be going over during these streams. So you can check that out. It's completely free. And if you like topics such as this, I know we got into some political topics and some dicey stuff we kind of avoided.
No, we flirted with the line.
We flirted,
we never crossed it.
We didn't pass the lines. But if you do want to hear,
I got some comments.
Well, here's the deal, Pookie. I want to see you Tuesday, next Tuesday, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to go on my channel right here. It's the MetaMat TV channel on YouTube. My last one we had Prime Patrick on. We were talking about the Trump arrest, TikTok ban. We threw in GameStop in there, but we're talking about some pretty dicey topics. We brought in the High Indian, who is a crypto influencer, Donald Trump supporter, and we had Patrick, who was the complete opposite. They were going back and forth on the war in Ukraine, on on Trump. It was a lot of fun. So if y'all want to hear like the not safe for work, once again, it's on the MetaMat TV channel. Can't be doing that here on the Pennybois YouTube. But
I
definitely
will get
check
you
that
delisted.
But Pookie, I want you there next time, Pookie, because I know that your takes are very interesting when you are not holding back on the public Pennybois YouTube channel. I think it'd be fun for the members to see, kind of look through the curtains, see what we are all like, when we aren't, having to be PG, if that makes sense.
Even spell PG. Yeah, I mean, there's a delicate way to word things, and there's a not so delicate way to word things. I'm sorry, I'm upset about the tax thing now.
Oh, yeah. It's like, God damn, I'm gonna tell because you're from New.
Let us sell pot. Just let us open dispensaries without jumping through hoops. Look at the military budget. There's a lot of opportunity there. I wasted so much food myself just throwing stuff into a dumpster.
That's the biggest thing you're talking about, especially with New York, the crypto. That would be one really big way for them to make money. And then also legalizing cannabis sales. That's another. Instead of making us pay 50 cents a Uber ride, or 4% taxes on our, just to watch Game of Thrones or whatever. I definitely think that.
If they stop getting in the way of these companies that want to do these things, they'll have their 9% tax bracket because they'll be multi-million-dollar companies. They're just getting in their own way and taking it out on the people, basically. So I don't like that. But it's New York, so that's, you get what you get.
You get what you get.
That's our slogan.
We're gonna have more. I love it. We're gonna have more and more of y'all coming down to Connecticut and to Florida. For me and Bull, gonna be dealing with y'all.
Yeah, I'm going to Chicago next month for a little conference, and I'm gonna check it out. Let's see what it's like out there.
I'm actually going to be in New York City next month, and I believe it's the 12th for NFT NYC with Austin. I finally convinced Austin to at least take a peek into the Web3, not NFT, because NFTs, those are three really, really dirty words, dirty letters. But Web3, which is the technology behind NFTs. I'm not talking about JPEG pictures. I'm talking about the blockchain technology. And there's a lot that goes into that. So we're going to be opening his eyes to that. And we might be bringing in some really cool, there's a lot of good technology out there. So we bring in some cool features and stuff like that coming into Pennybois with all the connections we make there. Hopefully it'll make things a lot easier for our members and just in general for everyone involved. But that's gonna be a lot of fun. Anyone who's in New York, myself, like I said, myself and Austin will be there. I believe it's like the 12th to the 14th. I could be wrong. If y'all want to hang out, we can set up a little PB meetup. That'd be fun.
Yeah, PB meetup. That actually does sound fun.
Oh, there's so many parties going on in New York. Like a book of traders, like just for that event. So we can go crash one.
Well, we did say in Florida we were going to have a meetup in New York.
Oh, we did.
We did mention that. Yeah. Well, we actually did one of those before, and there was us three were there, and we had a great time in Orlando, didn't we?
Yeah.
I got Emma Jamma in the Discord chat saying that she's going to be there for one of the Tuesday streams to debate with Pookie and Patrick. I always bring on a polarizing figure from outside of Pennybois who typically has the opposite views of our people. Just to
you give me $5, man. I'll take whatever side.
That's how I am. I'm like, I'll argue. I can argue for Trump, against Trump. I hate everyone. So, but
that's all.
Now we're getting into the MetaMat TV stuff. We're going to risk getting the YouTube channel banned again here on Pennybois. We can't have that. So, yeah, like Amy says, equal opportunity hater. Yeah, right. So, I don't see any questions in the Discord. Is there anything else that y'all two are looking at? We got two minutes going to close. Any 2-minute day trades, Pookie? I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, 0-day Netflix.
2-minute options day trade.
I did alert a bearish play on Snap today. It's had this $13 resistance for quite some time. I mean, this is dating back to August of last year. So fast forward, here we are approaching the 13, and recently got rejected from there. Didn't quite hit the 13, but you could call this like the high $12 to $13 like zone, if you will. Might even be easier to look at if I just kind of draw a rectangle up here like this. We turn this red, and anytime it's gotten up to here, it's had some pretty significant selling. So I did open a bearish call credit spread on Snap, and again, this is not financial advice. This is just my trade, and basically sold the $13 call, and then I bought the $14 call. It's paying almost 25% on your money there, and just need Snap to stay below 13 bucks. So I'll be keeping my eye on the trade. I did alert this in the Discord, but this should be a fun one to play. And I think it's setting up. I did save a little bit of ammunition if Snap does break into the $12 area, and we do get a little bit of selling. I'll probably add a little bit more to my call credit spreads. So I didn't, go all in on the trade or anything, nowhere near that. Just a little tester position. We'll see how the price action does, but I'm expecting some pullback on Snap if and when it gets to the $12, $13 area again. So
do you want me to call Hindenburg?
Yeah, call Hindenburg. I'm gonna put a report out on Snap, and I'll take
Snapchat. I heard they were trafficking babies.
Yeah.
Oh God!
No, nowadays, right? So that's all I got with you to wrap up the week. I hope everyone had a great week. We made a lot of money in the premium Discord, and make sure to enjoy your weekend. Take a mental health break, and we'll get right back at it on Monday.
That weather's getting nicer, and daylight savings time shifted everyone's day by an hour. I'm sure everyone feels like they have more energy now later in the day. That's why.
Yeah, there we go.
Same energy, you just have it a little more sunlight.
Makes sense.
Yeah, go make the most of it.
Yeah, I'm personally bearish on Snapchat as an app. I personally hate Snapchat. I hate using Snapchat.
I don't use it.
I don't even use it. I don't even use it.
For kids and stuff, right?
I don't know. I know that there's a lot of people saying that they're going to, and I don't believe it. This is like the people, and I'm not to get political. I know, like, and I said it too, probably on Facebook at one point in my life. I was like, oh, if Trump or Biden or this person becomes president, I'm moving to Canada. Well, a lot of people are saying the same thing when it comes to Meta. They're like, if TikTok gets banned, I'm gonna never go on Meta ever again. I'm moving to Snapchat. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think the people are gonna be leaving Meta and Instagram if that happens. But we'll see. We'll see.
The ones who don't have a lot of followers might.
There you go. But yeah, anything else from you, Pookie?
No, just as Bull said, don't be a slave to the market. Go outside, have fun, touch grass, get some sunlight, suck in a bee or something. Whatever you got to do.
A beer or a bee? Did you just say
bee? Yeah,
that's worse.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, just just keep your head down and.
Oh, wait, I do have one question I do want to get to because before we head off the stream, because it's easier to do it via, talking. Abermejo is asking, they're saying, how do you guys determine your targets? Are they based on percentages or support and resistance? That's a really good question. Ooh. Are they based on percentages or support and resistance levels? I know Bull and I were talking about that during our options stream on Monday, where we live traded Uber for around like 30%. I believe there's a lot of members. Snowflake, one of them, was making some good profits in that. But we were actually discussing that, whether or not your stop loss should be at a certain percentage or just based off of a support level, because once it breaks past that, I no longer want to be in this trade versus, once it breaks past 10%, I don't want to risk that much money. So how do you guys determine when it's, about the percentages and risking a certain amount of money versus a support level and just no longer being a part of the trade because of levels? I
know this one.
Go ahead, Pookie.
It depends. So
every trade's different.
Every trade's different. So I'm not going to put a 10 or 20 or 30% stop loss on a momentum trade. I'm going to set it right below break even, because if I'm entering a momentum trade, the price should just go. It should already be going when I get in. I shouldn't be watching it fall back down and going red. I just want to get in, ride the profit, and then get out as soon as it stops. For a swing trade, however, I might open that stop loss up a little bit. For an option trade, I might open it up a little bit more just for the volatility. So it really depends. But one way to, or I should say a relatively easy way to identify targets. Let's just look at Snapchat really quick here on the top. This will be really quick. I'm not going to go too far into the rabbit hole. So let's say I'm looking at this range right here for my trade. Okay. Let me make that a little bit darker so it's not washing out the color. So let's say this line here is my entry. Okay. And this line here is my, target. Now in this case, they are aligned with previous support and resistance levels. So that's just where the structural target would be. However, if I'm looking for a safe profit and I'm expecting a bounce off of this level here and then it goes up, what I'd want to do is identify wherever I see that confirmation and wherever I plan to stop out, I want at least 1.5 to 1 that distance. So in this case, it would be somewhere around here. I didn't check the number on that one. But this would be typically where I'd like to lock in at least half of my position. I personally lock in about 75% at 1.5 times the risk reward. Some people go 2, some people go 5 to 1, which is insane in my opinion, but whatever. It depends on what you're trading and how you're trading it. But if you are looking for a good minimum profit where, if something just keeps going, you want to lock in some of the profits at least at that point, in my opinion, or at least move your stop loss up at that point so that you don't lose it if it falls back down. Now, with that said, it depends heavily on what you're trying to trade. If you're trying to trade a fib retrace and you understand the mechanisms with that, you might lock some in at the 88.2 level rather than expecting a new high. It depends on the type of pullback, the volume. So it really just depends on the trade. So if, for example, your options trades all have 20% stop loss or 30% stop loss, a minimum target that you should be taking profits at, in my opinion, is 1.5 times that. So if it goes up 100%, in my opinion, you should have at least locked in something most of the time before it got to that point, because, they don't always go to 100%. So why not at least lock it in while it's there? Or when it hits that level, move up your stop loss for a piece of that position so that you don't lose it. It's kind of a hard question to answer, though, because everything is so different. Some trades are simply based on momentum. Some are based on volume and catalyst. Some are based on structure. It really just depends. Now, as far as your follow-up question, how do you know what the price is going to be on an option? That's where you have to understand the Black-Scholes model, specifically the Greeks. For every $1 move in price, the delta is added to the premium, which is the value of the contract, and then the gamma is added to the delta to help it grow. But you're never going to know a specific target unless you know what the IV is in the moment, the implied volatility, because that every 1% change in that, the vega is going to be added or removed from the premium. So that's kind of the wild card. And then, of course, theta is subtracted from that on a consistent basis. So you really got to get comfortable understanding the ranges where a contract would likely be after X dollars a move. And you do that by understanding the Greeks. In this case, it would be the delta and the gamma, and then some variance for the IV.
And those are some great questions, and we had them in the chat. And Bull is 100% right. I'm just going to pull up the chat, actually, so those of you who are watching YouTube can see it. Yeah, Aber Mayho had some great questions about the options, and Bull is 100% right. He does have his options stream on Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. It's all about teaching options strategies. We also have our live trading for options, our options live trading stream dedicated strictly to trading options. I think we made like 30% plus on Uber last Monday. That's on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern weekly. So you can definitely check those out for sure, because those are definitely helpful. Yep. Yeah. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube or watching this back, we're listening to a question from the Discord live stream. So in case it just sounds like a bunch of silence, actually, you know what? Let's end the YouTube and we'll go into the Discord. And that way we can answer that question there and answer any other questions we have, via voice. That way we can, finish the stream up and then we'll go right to that question, Nikki. Perfect. So anything else, Pookie Bull, before we cut off the stream?
Nope. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Yeah. That's all.
And for those who don't know, we are going to still be live on the Discord. We do that. We are also live in the Discord during these YouTube streams. So those of you watching on YouTube, it's Discord GG/Pennybois, and we will see you there. But until then, as always, we hope that you all make some bread.
Bye.